nobody's scrutinized it before, but I think they might.
It's good to have the county clerk, when you file it, to look it over. Because it's good report. It's going to be good. People can scrutinize it all they want.
Sarah will get it.
Who have you listed as your treasurer and record keeper?
I haven't.
Oh, you haven't turned in your affidavit yet. You need to do that.
He had to go home for a minute, he had an issue with
I just,
I just needed his daughter, so he'll be right back.
my wife is treasurer and myself is record keeper.
Yeah, he was here.
You just had to say who that was.
Good morning and welcome to the meeting of the Berry County Board of Commissioners is now called to order for April 9th, 2024. If you'd please stand for our invocation and our Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Lord, for this opportunity to gather here in beautiful Berry County. Thank you for the gorgeous day you have provided and for a chance to see another one of your many miracles yesterday. And no political shirts were found anywhere. Thank you, Lord. Watch over us as we work through and discuss the many, many different problems and views of Berry County, and continues to help us strive to be the best possible county we can be. Thank you, Lord. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. For purposes of attendance, Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Colton.
Present.
Getty. Here. Smelker.
Here.
Campbell.
Here.
Tunison.
Here.
Jackson.
Here. Reports from state and county officials. At this time, are there any state or county officials that would like to give an update to the board?
Corrections wasn't quite ready today, so Berry County Law Enforcement logged 723 complaints in the month of March. 26 individuals were arrested. There were 60 accidents, 34 involved deer, 1 involved alcohol or drugs. 463 criminal histories were run for warrant entry and warrant requests. 75 sex offenders were processed. 156 pistol licenses were processed. Going back 5 years to today, 723 for 2024. In 2019, at this time, we had 669 accidents handled, 68. In 2019, we had 105. Car deer accidents this year was 34 compared to 61 in 2019. Arrests were 26, and in 2019 there was 56, and alcohol-related arrests 6 compared to 2019 there were 9. So any questions?
One question. I just got a note from somebody that's saying that you were not processing pistol licenses this week, and they were a little...
We got both of our people that are able to do the pistols processing are gone this week, so we were unable to do it this week.
Okay, just bad timing.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
they were a little unhappy. I'm like, I don't know what the situation is, but I can ask.
We're not happy either, so, because all it does is pile up on us, so.
Okay.
Yeah, so they'll be real busy when they get back.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you. Additional reports from state and county officials. Limited public comment. At this time, any member of the public wishing to address the board may do so for up to 3 minutes.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Rick Moore, still harbor master of the Podunk Lake Yacht Club, which includes rowboats, and that's about it. I wish to remind members and guests to please speak into the microphone or use your outdoor voice. It's very important that you speak slowly and distinctly so they can all hear what you have to say. It's very important that you share your valuable information with the rest of us, because knowledge is power. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rick. Additional public comment.
Thank you for that. I'm going to do just that. I appreciate that. John Roach, the City of Hastings. The board, I'm not a stranger to. I think everybody knows me, who I am, who's here and who's part of this board. And it's no question that when we serve, and several of you have served in this country in armed forces, that our term never expires, our oath never expires. I've served this country and currently serving this community as a sheriff's deputy with the Berry County Sheriff's Department. And over the last several years, regardless of party affiliation, we all can see the detriments that we've had under economic tyranny, both in the state and the country. Right now, food prices on the average across the state are up 42%. Housing, if you can find it, even here in Berry County, is becoming unobtainable. It's expensive. The economic impact that we've had are directly linked to both our state and our federal elections. I think it's incredibly irresponsible as any Republican to vote on a budget that would continue to balloon those very prospects. Last year, we passed a budget of $82 billion, which had very little relief for actual Michiganders or people in our county, Berry County. What we saw instead, when housing is unobtainable, is we saw an additional $500 for illegal aliens in housing here in the state. That doesn't seem very American. Certainly doesn't seem like it's in the best interest of Berry County. What we've seen is money such as programs for religious tests, purity tests. When we at the jail are suffering because we're trying to find people who work for us, if you want to be a state trooper, the requirements become that you are either Hindu or Muslim. That's the preference for state troopers. That's part of the budget. There's a lot of different things in that budget. There's money for things such as abortion. When we just passed, which by the way, congratulations on the Second Amendment resolution that you guys passed just last week, and yet in this budget, there's a gun ban that is part of it. Where is this help for Michiganders? Where's the help for Berry County? 3 weeks ago, I announced officially that I would be running as a Republican for State House of Representatives for this district, and part of Berry County includes that. And so officially, I wanted to let the board know, it's just kind of a political courtesy, that I will be running for state representative to be your representative for this on August 6th. So again, I appreciate it. I give you guys all that information. I just want to go ahead and make sure that you guys were also aware of that. So thank you very much. I appreciate your guys' time.
Thank you, John. We appreciate you being here this morning in spite of your shift.
Wow. Broken. Gary White, Nashville, Berry County. This morning I was watching on TV, and Dearborn is less than 2 hours away from us. They're having a rally. Dearborn is the largest Muslim city in the U.S. I don't have a problem with that. But the chant that was coming from the rally there was, "Death to America." When you pass this resolution, it's been watered down some, correct? I liked to, at the last week that we should protect ourselves with muzzle loaders. Are you really going to protect yourself with a muzzle loader? Do you think anybody, and I said, this is 2 hours away, the chant is coming, "Death to America," here in Michigan. It's not no place else, it's here in Michigan. So, should you have watered down the resolution, or should you have stood it up even stronger than what was presented to you originally, I guess is my question. What do you want the people to do? Freedom of speech is there, right? It's okay for people in America to say "Death to America." I'm just sitting here saying, what in the world, where are we at? So if you reconsider and say, let's pass a stronger Second Amendment, I guess I'd be more appreciative instead of having one that you decided, well, we got to compromise, because there's no compromise down there, is there? It's being said. Nothing's going to happen either, correct? But remember the words "Death to America" that were being chanted in America. That's concerning to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional public comment? Come on down.
Hi. Stats from the jail. Pete got tied up this morning, so anyways, the corrections staff has booked and processed 106 persons in the county jail for the month of March. Additionally, 96 persons released back into the community. The daily average population was 63. Staff transported 46 inmates to and from various locations to include court, medical facilities, and other counties. In addition, we have fingerprinted 104 persons at the front desk. Kitchen staff prepared 5,384 meals for the inmate at a cost per $2.76 per meal. Bookings this year was 106. In 2019, it was 259. Releases 96. In 2019 was 198. Daily average population 63 compared to 72 5 years ago. Transports 46, then in 2019 was 77. Public prints 104 in 2024, 72 in 2019. Meals served 5,384, and in 2019 6,553 at $1.50 a meal. So I appreciate him getting that to me. So any questions? By the way, the hole in the floor there, we got concrete around it. We're waiting for the final, make it look normal again, because right now it's just concrete and there's about that much of a gap from the main floor to the concrete where we had to fix that drain. So hopefully that'll get done this week or early next week. And we've had some pretty good applicants come through for the jail position openings that we had, so hopefully that'll all work out. All right.
Awesome. Questions for the sheriff? $1.50 a meal to $2.76 a meal in 5 years. That's a nice inflation bump there, so.
Also, it varies on how many inmates we have. That's the amount of food we get. So we get a little bit better price the more inmates we have.
So go arrest more people.
What we have is we have a lot of people with mental issues in there, and more than I've ever seen before. And the last 5 years especially, it's really fluctuated up and down. So we don't want more of that. That's
Exactly.
very difficult, very tasking. So.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff.
I'm Bill Nesbitt. I reside here in the city of Hastings. Over the last couple of weeks, I've received inquiries of whether or not I'd be willing to run for sheriff again, and I've declined that. So you're safe in my book so far. I've also been asked to run for state representative, so I declined that one too, John. So you're safe so far in that one. But after long consideration, I did pull a petition yesterday to run for mayor of the city of Hastings. So I'm announcing my candidacy today for mayor of the city of Hastings. Thank you. When it comes to this, Mike, when I'm not here, I watch these online. And what I experience on my end is a very hot mic that's very distorted. So it's hard to really understand what's being said. So I will stand away. Hopefully my voice carries and it will come across. Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck. Additional public comment? Hearing none, we'll move ahead with our agenda. Approval of written agenda. At this time, any member of the board may ask for an item to be removed from the consent agenda and placed under items for consideration. Hearing no such request, does any commissioner wish to change the agenda additionally? Hearing no such request, the agenda is approved as written. Various correspondence. Does any commissioner have correspondence they'd like to share with the board this morning? Hearing none. Consent agenda, Commissioner Campbell.
Thank you. I move for the approval of March 26, 2024 Board of Commissioners meeting minutes. B, approval of April 2nd, 2024 Committee of the Whole meeting minutes. C, approval of the attached quote for roughly $11,235, subject to currency conversion rates, to purchase Greenbone vulnerability management tool and a 1-year enterprise subscription for the purposes of scanning and remediating vulnerabilities on our servers and user endpoints. D, approval of the attached quote for $22,828.26
to grant access to an additional 4 TB of disaster recovery storage within our, oh boy, Della EMC IDPA storage array.
Support. Thank you. Motion by Campbell, support by Smelker for all items listed on the consent agenda. Discussion is not allowed and a roll call vote is required. All those in favor vote aye. Opposed, vote nay. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Bolton?
Aye.
Getty? Aye. Smelker?
Aye.
Campbell?
Aye.
Tudison?
Aye.
Jackson?
Aye. The consent agenda is approved. Presentations this morning, we have none. Public hearings, we have one for the Brownfield plan for 117 North Main Street in Nashville. We talked about this thoroughly a week or two ago. So we're going to have a public hearing to discuss that. So the public hearing is now open. Anyone wishing to provide comment on the proposed Brownfield plan may do so at this time. Does anybody wish to provide comment on the proposed annexation?
Good morning, lady and gentlemen. I am here this morning to speak in support of the Brownfield plan for 117 North Main Street, Nashville, Michigan. We talked about housing a little bit ago, and this is an important part of the housing work that both the Chamber, EDA, and the Barry Community Foundation are doing to work together. And the Brownfield plan simply allows for this property to be able to qualify for some federal grants and some state grants that will allow them to move forward, and it will be a total rehab of a building in downtown Nashville that will go all the way from the ground all the way to the roof, and it will include two apartments on the second floor that will be affordable, attainable housing for our residents.
Awesome. Thank you, Bonnie. Additional comment, either for or against? Hearing no further requests from the public to provide comment on the proposed Brownfield plan, the public hearing is now closed. Next on our agenda items is items for consideration. Commissioner Carlton.
Item A, approval of prepaid invoices in the amount of $3,055,863.51.
Is there support? Support. Motion by Carlton, support by Tunison for approval of prepaid invoices in the amount of $3,055,863.51. Discussion. Hearing none, Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Aye.
Smelker?
Aye.
Campbell?
Aye.
Tudison?
Aye.
Bolton?
Aye.
Jackson?
Aye. The motion is approved.
Item B, approval of claims in the amount of $63,269.60.
Is there support? Support. Motion by Carlton, support by Smelker for approval of claims in the amount of $63,269.60. Discussion. Hearing none, Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Smelker?
Aye.
Campbell?
Aye.
Tudison?
Aye.
Bolton?
Aye.
Getty?
Aye.
Jackson?
Aye. The motion is approved.
Approval of commissioners' reimbursements in the amount of $355.10.
Is there support?
Support.
You got it. Motion by Carlton, support by Getty for approval of commissioner reimbursement mileage in the amount of $355.10. Discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Campbell?
Aye.
Tudison?
Aye.
Bolton?
Aye.
Getty?
Aye.
Smelker?
Aye.
Jackson?
Aye. The motion is approved.
Adoption of resolution number 2410, resolution approving a brownfield TIF plan for the village of Nashville at 117 North Main Street.
Is there support?
Support Campbell.
Motion by Carlton, support by Campbell for adoption of Resolution 24-10, a resolution approving a brownfield TIF plan for the village of Nashville, 117 North Main Street. Discussion.
This is that project where it's, for the 2 units above it, and,
Yes, above the
I
store.
just- I'm in support of it, but I think the cost, $560,000 to do this for 2 units, I wonder somehow down the road if it couldn't be for 10 smaller units someplace or something like that. You know, it just seems like a lot of money for 2 units. That's all.
It's not just the 2 units, it's the whole building, which has a store on the bottom. So, I mean, this will definitely increase not just the value of this property, but of the entire Main Street in Nashville. And I think others in Nashville are watching this to see how this works out, and maybe they would be interested in this.
Agree with that. I think you're right.
Yeah, this is the first TIF plan we've had come before this board from Brownfield, so it'll be interesting to see how this works, but I think this is a step in the right direction. We've talked about putting more tools in our toolbox, increasing housing, increasing opportunities, and this is just one way to move that forward, so I'm in support of this plan also. Additional discussion? Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Tennyson,
Aye.
Walton,
Aye.
Getty,
Aye.
Smelker,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Jackson,
Aye. The motion is approved.
Adoption of Resolution Number 24-7, resolution to abolish the office of County Surveyor.
Is there support?
Support, Campbell.
Motion by Colton, support by Campbell for adoption of Resolution 24-07, a resolution to abolish the office of County Surveyor. Discussion. Hearing none, Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Walton,
Aye.
Getty,
Aye.
Smelker,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Tennyson,
Aye.
Jackson,
Aye. The motion is approved.
Adoption of Resolution Number 24-8, resolution to approve the 2024 county equalization values and to authorize certification of L4024.
Is there support?
Support.
Motion by Colton, support by Tennyson for adoption of Resolution 24-08, a resolution to approve 2024 county equalization values and to authorize certification of L4024. Discussion. Hearing none, Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Getty,
Aye.
Smelker,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Tennyson,
Aye.
Walton,
Aye.
Jackson,
Aye. The motion is approved.
Adoption of Resolution 24-9, affirming the board's support of the Constitution and the Second Amendment.
Support.
Support, Campbell.
Motion by Colton, support by Campbell for adoption of Resolution 24-09, affirming the board's support of the Constitution and Second Amendment. Discussion. Commissioner Smelker.
I just think it's a long time coming, so glad to see it on there.
We've worked on this for a year now, and we're finally going to get something done on this. So, something we need to do.
Compliments to Mr. Lake for his persistence on this issue and building those relationships and continuing to lovingly massage commissioners into seeing things slightly their way. So, good job, Mr. Lake. So, additional discussion? Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Smelker,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Tennyson,
Aye.
Walton,
Aye.
Getty,
Aye.
Jackson,
Aye. The motion is approved. Unfinished business, we have none. New business, we have none. County Administrator's report.
I'm all set, thank you.
Chairperson's report. I was at Hope Township last night, Berry Township tonight, Rutland Township on Wednesday. I think it's my shot. And then we also have Brownfield on Wednesday as well. So our meeting cycle is just getting started this week, so thank you. Vice Chairperson is absent for the moment. Commissioner reports, Commissioner Tennyson.
So I went to Carlton last night. One thing Amanda, the clerk, did not have a good experience with the 9 days of voting with the 3 townships. So their board decided to break the agreement of the 3 townships, and they're going to go it alone in August, on the next cycle. It just didn't work out well with the 2 other clerks, so their board decided to to take the stress off of her and to go it alone, so, in August and in November. So, she was making a point last night that majority of counties in the state have gone to one voter site throughout the, like, so you'd have it at the fairgrounds. And that would be for the whole county, but I think that'd be really hard for people from Woodland and Orangeville and other places to go just to one drive all the way there. They're used to going to a certain place. It was different for them just trying to do the 3 townships together and go to a different place, like with Hastings and I think Hope go, and Rutland, right?
Yep.
Okay, so people that normally go to Hastings, they'd drive all the way to Rutland. They were confused. So it's going to take a long time for this to get people to, get used to this. So it just wasn't a good experience for them at Carlton with her. She was so stressed out that she said it just wasn't good. So just wanted to share that.
Thank you.
I have
Mr.
a-
Campbell. Oops, go ahead.
I just had a question to follow up on that. Is there any statistics, or does anyone know what percentage of the actual people who voted during this period of early voting?
A very small percentage is what I've been told. Cindy might know better.
I know the 3 townships of Hope, Rutland, and I don't know if it was Irving or whatever it was, Hastings, they had either just at or just under 100 votes for 9 days. So
Out of how many that voted in that?
the primary, because it was fairly obvious, I don't think the voter turnout was as high as it has been in past years. John, did you have a comment on that? Just because you are connected to some of this, so.
Yeah, it was 90 or 92 in Irving, right? But statewide, that first weekend, I think I put it out to you guys, there was 11,000 people that voted statewide at $2,256,000 per day. That's just assuming there's 4,700 precincts, right? That's what we have in the state. Not everybody did that. But it broke down that first weekend to $410 per vote, statewide. That's our tax dollars.
Yeah. So it's pricey. I was just curious, did 5% of the voters who voted in an election vote during this early time, or more, or less?
Well, we can have Cindy get that, but I think it'll be a better barometer when you get into the primary in August, because the presidential primary was just, like I said, somewhat decided, even though Michigan was early. But Cindy can give us that information.
They are very low stats on what the turnout for that was, so there's been a lot of consideration of what's the best avenue, and that would be something that would have been brought to the board before the decision to have individual townships doing. But the townships still have the right to hold elections, so their voters can vote in their townships. I have talked with colleagues who held countywide, but again, that becomes the county's responsibility to conduct an election, and I think that's why my predecessor chose to go with, we should put it out to the township clerks, which way they wanted to go, and they wanted to still hold their own. So out of all the precincts, we had 5 individual townships choose to go alone, and we had 5 where they were all consolidated. Pros and cons both ways. Right after the low turnout in February, we did really look into what a county site would be, rather to hold it at the Titan Center and have everyone come to Hastings to vote. But then that's when you get your Yankee Springs voters saying, we don't want to drive all the way to Hastings, even though it's a benefit to vote 9 days early, where do we draw the line and the cost? We brought it up to a few of the clerks, and they want to wait and see what happens with August and November, just like the Chair Jackson said. February is still kind of a hard, 9 days was early, and it is pretty typical that I learned from some of my seasoned clerks that the presidential primary, you typically have a low turnout. So there's just a lot of factors in there. There's been discussions, like I said, about a county site. Maybe my successor we'll look into that more, that might be viable, but again, that's going to be something that has to be brought to the board, because there will be expenses that have to be laid out and then reimbursed, either the townships or the residential primary state. For instance, with Commissioner Tunison saying that we have one township that's cleaning out, equipment now has to be purchased to cover that township that's now going to go alone. And that is a county responsibility. So we now have to pay for that, rather there's still grants out there. I'll apply for another grant. But even with this first grant, again, my predecessor had prepared it all. I stepped in not knowing what's going to be covered. It was right up until weeks before the election that, okay, now we're going to ship all the equipment. And yes, the state's going to pay for it. We didn't know that until days before, weeks before. So then it was like, okay, where are we getting the laptops? Where are we getting the tabulators? Where are we getting the printers? Everything coming in so that each township could hold elections. So there's a lot to it.
Thank you.
Would it be better to just order one for each township and just be done over?
Well, again, that's the cost. The county, according to the state mandating the 9-day early voting, the county has to pay for the equipment.
Oh, the state doesn't have to?
Depending on how they were going to run the grant. So, like I said, it came up to just before the election to learn that, okay, the state is going to provide the equipment. But what we learned right in the midst of, and this was like the Wednesday before early voting started on Saturday, they didn't choose to cover in the grant tech support. So we have, right now, that's another thing to address, is having tech support during those 9 days of early voting. We have contracts for day of election, but not for the 9 days before. So that's an expense that's going to have to go out to all of the townships too, to have support.
Mandated expenses,
Exactly.
not paid for. Commissioner
Heather's got a...
Heather.
From a point of a township clerk, we went on the 3 township agreement. It cost my township $5,500, almost maybe closer to $6,000. I still have 2 or 3 invoices to add for our 3 days. Our whole budget for the whole year was only $6,500 for elections. So that, not knowing the expense, not knowing what was going to be covered, it is a huge expense for the townships for an election that had very dismal turnout. And most of our constituents don't want to go to another place. They want to vote where they vote.
Yep. Thank you. Good input. Commissioner Campbell.
Thank you. I did attend the conservation easement meeting last week. Chair Ling chairs that committee, that board. We continue to make lots of efforts to permanently preserve the properties in Berry County. We have been very successful at many of them, and continue to work very hard on this. I always feel it's a very important part of our identity as Berry County, as our agricultural properties, and this board is working endlessly to make that happen. So, thank you.
Thank you. Vice Chairperson's report.
Just a quick comment on the Personnel Committee. We had an excellent response to our request for RFPs for a search consultant to help us look for Michael's successor. We received 6, all of which are eminently well qualified, so we've got our work cut out for us to go through and evaluate those and make a recommendation as to who we should retain.
Next meeting of the Personnel Committee is next Thursday?
Next Thursday.
Thank you. Commissioner Smelker.
This is a slow part of my month. I attended Thornapple and the Village of Freeport last night.
Thank you. Commissioner Getty?
I joined Commissioner Smelker at Thornapple last night, and they recognized two of their emergency services staff. They went through paramedic training, quite a significant training, but Thornapple added 2 paramedics to their ranks. And I know we've all been hearing about the shortages in paramedics and the difficulty in staffing, so it was great news for Thornapple and the communities that they serve.
Thank you. Commissioner Colton?
I've attended Castleton, Maple Grove, last night Woodland Village, and tonight Woodland Township, Nashville for Thursday.
Awesome. Thank you. Limited public comment. At this time, any member of the public wishing to address the board may do so for up to 3 minutes.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. David Lonsma, precinct delegate, Yankee Springs Township. Just wanted to comment regarding the discussion I just listened to regarding the early voting, the extremely low turnout, but the unbelievably high cost incurred by the townships and the county and the state to run this extended early election, early voting. It was a dismal failure. These are costs mandated by the state. Unbelievable cost per vote. Unbelievably low turnout. And I think the most dismal statistic is that if you look at the percentage of voters who voted to put this change into our Constitution that brought about all these early voting changes, that turnout was extremely low. Only a few percent of the people who voted to add this burden to our state voting system actually turned out and voted early. It's ridiculous. People didn't even know what they were voting for. We need to go back to single-day voting. It needs to be in person. We need to get rid of all this electronic stuff that is so easily corrupted. This whole idea of mailing out millions and millions of ballots and having so little accountability for it is insane. And now, as I listen to the conversation, the cost of this will begin to dictate our decisions on how we run an election. So we want to centralize, we're talking about centralizing the voting in the county, which would, is going to turn the turnout lower. There's not going to be more people that drive further to vote early. I mean, just think about it, makes no sense. We do need to retain voting in our local precincts. That's a hallmark of our republic, the ability to vote, the right to vote, the accessibility to that vote, and to do it securely, and it should be done in person. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Additional public comment?
Yeah, Gary Ray again. Some of the folks know that I go around and I have collected some government documents that when people ask them questions, I go and start looking into things. When I start looking into things, government document has either been filed or approved, so I'm thinking it's forensic evidence if it ever goes to a court of law. That's the reason I can state what I state, and nobody wants to challenge it. As elected officials, you're responsible to hold each other accountable. It's not just a responsibility, it's an obligation. So once again, when the Board of Commissioners had a statement made for them, and that the commissioners would not afterwards have any further comment, we had a commissioner break that Wednesday at Maple Grove. I think the majority of the people at Maple Grove wanted the person to hold the state her accountable. When your chair makes a statement that you didn't know about. I guess the best comment that came from a resident at Maple Grove that said, when my kids acted up in public, I whipped them in public. So I guess I think everybody knows what I'm talking about. Is anybody going to do anything? Thank you. And I still have all those documents. And once again, they are filed or adopted documents, so yeah, I'm going to guess they're factual. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional public comment?
John Lake Irving, again, said it last week, I was hoping it'd be the same this week, and I thank you guys for everything you've done with regards to the Second Amendment. It is important. Without the Second Amendment, we don't have the other ones, right? So, with regards to this early voting stuff, the clerk over here, that's just your manpower, is that correct?
There's expenses.
That doesn't include all the new equipment that's required?
I did not have to buy it because the host township bought it.
Oh, okay, I thought all of the townships were required, but then you got postage, right? Which is doubled up and quadrupled up, right? So it's quite a bit more than that. But the thought of, and I talked to Rochelle Smith, I think Ottawa did a central base, right? At the county building or whatever. But that kind of does away with what the whole premise of this was, to afford everybody equal or early voting, right? But that coupled with unlimited absentee ballots, where we went with our voting, right? So I believe, and I couldn't find it, I sent a quick text out to Cindy, but with regards to federal elections, I think the Constitution says 1 day. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm wrong. But I do know that there's a lawsuit challenging the legality of all these days of voting and such. So hopefully, I don't know, we're one county, right? But to say that voting doesn't have consequences is a major understatement. And again, thank you for the 2A.
Thank you. Additional public comment? Hearing none. Commissioner comments. Commissioner Carlton?
I have none.
Commissioner Gay?
Nothing.
Commissioner Smelker?
I have nothing.
Commissioner Tunison?
One thing, last weekend, it was my wife's birthday last Monday, so I told her for once in my life I'd take a weekend off, and we went up north. So on the way back, normally we come down M66, but I go, no, we're gonna go the expressway. So we came down 127. And I don't know how many people go up that way, but used to be you ran into windmills in Ithaca. And then between Ithaca and all the way up, you didn't see much. Now, all the way almost up to Mount Pleasant, you're seeing huge wind farms all through there. So I was just kind of amazed at how fast this is growing. And I'm hoping that we can get the next business in order, we can get going on a wind and solar ordinance pretty soon. So, that's
Thank
all.
you. Commissioner Campbell?
I'd just like to say how nice it was yesterday, with the big event with the eclipse and everything. The one thing that I noticed was that everybody seemed to be on the same page, and there wasn't a lot of dissension yesterday, but just kind of happiness and awe, so it was nice to have that for a day.
Absolutely. Commissioner Hatfield?
My apologies to everyone for my absence at the first part of the meeting, family emergency, so I apologize.
Thank you. Just a reminder, Commissioners' Legislative Conference in Lansing is Monday, April 29th and Tuesday, April 30th. I'll be attending the Tuesday session all day. If you haven't signed up, please see administration and get on that. I will be attending. Always very informative. The other thing was, to Commissioner Tunison's question, we did sit down with Michael Brown and Mr. McManus and go over the citizen-led solar document that they had put together. I know consumers had also had some input on that. There was some agreement with Johnstown Township on a lot of the verbiage in that. So that is now in the hands of our attorney. And of course, that'll be, it's not mine to approve, it's the board's to approve, but based on those input from Johnstown, input from the people at our meeting, I felt that our mission here is to be stricter, not looser. I thought the state's ordinance was very poorly written, not having any decommissioning plan, not having any screening in there. So we will probably come back with a ordinance that is a lot more stringent than anything the state will be happy with, but we feel the majority of projects are going to be under that 50 megawatt. And we want to definitely put our best foot forward in preserving all prime farm grounds in the county, not allowing development where possible, and also figuring on an average of about 23,000 acres per township on an average, that if we use 5% as a number, that's about 1,000 acres, which would mean if that Johnstown project goes through, that's probably about it for Johnstown Township. So we do not want a single township that happens to have high-tension wires in it be the place where there's going to be 20,000 acres out of the 23,000 that are overtaken. So there'll be a lot of discussion on this going forward. I don't anticipate the attorney coming back with this quickly. I think this is going to take some time to craft this, and then there'll be some tennis back and forth on what you want and what the community wants, what's best for Johnstown and other townships in that area. So it'll be a process, but just wanted to keep you updated on that it is in motion, so.
Are we going to include all the townships? Get input from other townships other than just Johnstown?
I think that's very important to have input on that as well. I mean, planning and zoning does that ordinance for a lot of the county, but there are a handful of townships that do their own zoning, so it's important to get their input as it is from that as well, so.
Yeah.
So, but that is all. Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for surviving the great eclipse yesterday, the totality of it all. So have a great day and enjoy the beautiful sunshine.